Right now, there is a new breed of multimillionaires spending small fortunes every single year to cheat death. They are tracking their nighttime erections, drinking green sludge, and turning their daily routines into a full-time job. They measure everything: brainwaves, inflammation markers, the volume of oxygen their lungs can process. It is an arms race to slow down their biological clock and lower the speed at which their bodies age. But as this longevity market balloons past $60 billion, the line between legitimate cutting-edge science and very expensive snake oil is completely blurring. We will run a full audit on the daily routine of a hypothetical modern biohacker. We will examine their workouts, their 50-pill supplement stacks, and their experimental sleep aids to separate the clinical facts from the marketing hype. By stripping away the million-dollar price tags, we can isolate habits that consistently survive scientific scrutiny. Let's start with the morning workout. Our biohacker is on an elliptical, pushing through an agonizing interval training regimen. 4 minutes all out, 4 minutes of rest, chasing the biological age of an 18-year-old. The goal here is to raise VO2 max, which is a measurement of how efficiently your body uses oxygen during exercise. High VO2 max is one of the strongest clinical predictors of a long, disease-free life. This chart outlines the 80-20 polarized training model, splitting exercise into 80% low-intensity and 20% high-intensity work. Looking at that 80% block, Zone 2 training prompts your cells to build denser mitochondria, efficiently burning fat for energy. The remaining 20% is where the intense suffering happens. Spending brief intervals in zones 4 and 5 forces the heart muscle to adapt, strengthening its pumping power and pushing your VO2 max ceiling higher. Add in 2 to 3 sessions of resistance training to preserve the muscle mass and bone density we naturally lose as we get older, and your fitness base is covered. True longevity training does not require destroying yourself every single day. It relies on a precise mathematical balance between heart strength and cellular efficiency. Moving to the kitchen, our biohacker is swallowing over 50 pills a day, ranging from popular collagen powders to experimental antioxidant blends like Glynac. We need to audit this massive pill box using a strict tier list, judging every compound entirely on human clinical trials and measurable aging biomarkers, while completely ignoring the marketing claims. Once you apply those filters, most of the bottle clutter disappears. Heavily marketed C-tier supplements like collagen lack actual lifespan extension data in humans. Even famous B-tier compounds like resveratrol struggle with poor absorption and mixed clinical results. That leaves a very narrow A-tier of supplements. The first pillar consists of NAD+ precursors, specifically NMN or NR. As we age, our bodies lose NAD+, a critical coenzyme needed for DNA repair and cellular energy production. These precursors reliably raise those levels. The second A-tier pillar is high-dose omega-3 fatty acids, specifically EPA and DHA. They boast massive clinical trials showing reduced cardiovascular events and protection for our telomeres, which are the protective caps on the ends of our DNA. The stack is completed by vitamin D, a foundational hormone. Severe deficiency in vitamin D is directly linked to weakened immune function and a higher risk of all-cause mortality. Rather than playing a 50-pill guessing game, this targeted A-tier stack addresses the known biological mechanisms of aging safely and for a fraction of the cost. Finally, it is bedtime. To guarantee perfect rest, our subject is preparing a subcutaneous injection of controversial bioregulators like DSIP or Epitalon. Let's audit this peptide craze. DSIP stands for Delta Sleep-Inducing Peptide. Despite being discovered in 1977, scientists still have not identified a specific receptor in the human body, and the clinical data on its effectiveness is highly conflicting. This FDA briefing document shows a bulk drug substance nomination for Epitalon, while the proposed use section lists insomnia and paradoxical sleep disorder. The reason for use simply cites that there are no FDA-approved products available. Its effectiveness remains unproven in robust human trials. The clinical reality is far less exotic. Current research consistently identifies 7 to 8 hours of rest as the critical threshold for reducing mortality risk and protecting cognitive health. It comes down to sleep regularity. Maintaining a consistent bedtime and wake time, day in and day out, can lower your risk of all-cause mortality by up to 25%. Injecting unproven molecules is a distraction from the systemic recovery that only happens during natural, high-quality sleep. This graph illustrates the great paradox of the modern longevity movement. It shows an inverse relationship between financial effort and clinical evidence. At the bottom right, you have interventions with the highest financial costs, like experimental peptides and massive supplement stacks, resting on the thinnest human data. Meanwhile, at the top left, the cheapest habits, like Zone 2 cardio and consistent sleep, sit on a mountain of undisputed scientific evidence. Completely free interventions, like maintaining deep social connections and managing stress, actually lengthen your telomeres and protect against the massive mortality risks associated with loneliness. You do not need $1 million budget to maximize your health span. By mastering the scientific bedrock of sleep, exercise, and nutrition, you engage the exact biological mechanisms these expensive biohacks are trying to mimic.